We have new developments from one of the highest courts in the Pelican State. According to our partners with the Louisiana Illuminator, in a lopsided 6-1 vote, a state law is giving special privileges to lawmakers who are also attorneys has been declared unconstitutional. The special privileges given to those lawmakers allowed them to automatically delay court proceedings they're involved in if it would interfere with their legislative duties. The new ruling comes at a delicate time, with Governor Landry intending to call for a special session on tax reform, something that could become a lot harder for lawmakers with scheduling conflicts to manage. Associate Justice Jeff Hughes defended the court's ruling, saying it is vital that judges and not lawmakers have the final say over a court case's schedule. Hughes also released an opinion on the ruling, saying, quote, "The Constitution does not permit legislators who are also attorneys unchecked authority to continue any deadline whatsoever for any reason, simply by virtue of their status as a legislator, especially when doing so may not be in the best interest of their own clients," end quote. You can head over to our website for more on this story.